Hello, welcome to the 23,006th day of my life on this planet. It is the 1st of December in 2024. It is Sunday, and you know what that means? That's right, it's time for a sesh. Shall we? When I was a kid, I must have been about 9, 10 years old, just after my parents divorced, and it was mom and my brother and I. There used to be a late night movie presentation on one of the local stations. I don't remember if it was Channel 9 or Channel 32 or what, but they would show these old movies late at night. And one particular night, mom said, "Oh, stay up with me and watch this movie. I think you might like it." And it was unusual because it was a school night, but I'm always up for a good movie, spend time with mom. So I sat down on the sofa next to on the floor next to the sofa. Mom was laying on the sofa, and she started this movie, and it was a 1945 feature starring what's his name? Robert Alda, Alan Alda's father, and it was called Rhapsody in Blue, and it was the story of George Gershwin. I don't know if you know who George Gershwin is or was, but it was 100 years ago this year that he penned probably the first piece of American symphony music called Rhapsody in Blue. An amazing piece of music, but that's not where that's not all he did. I mean, before that, he was on Tin Pan Alley writing songs that ended up being hit songs. I bet you probably know several of those songs like Swanee. Swanee, I love you. Let's call the whole thing off. You say tomato, I say summertime. Living is easy. That was from the first American opera called Porgy and Bess. Mom fell asleep like shortly after the movie started. I stayed up and watched the whole 2 hours, and I was just glued to the screen, glued to the story, and just became an instant fanboy for George Gershwin. Anyways, so that it wasn't necessarily the next day, but that next week, I rode my bicycle to the Arlington Heights Library, which is a couple miles away, and I checked out a biography on George and Ira Gershwin and an album that had Rhapsody in Blue on one side and An American in Paris on the other side, which was another concerto piece that he wrote. And I just devoured everything I could about Gershwin, all of his music, all throughout the years and everything. And it was a profound thing to me to see Rhapsody in Blue at the tender age of 9 or 10 years old. So fast forward about a dozen years, I'm an adult, a young adult. I was in my early 20s. I had a company called Val Productions, and we had possession of a device called a Fairlight CMI, computer musical instrument. And I had gotten this instrument in 1984. I also kind of leveraged my way into a 24-track recording studio where I could do these productions. But this Fairlight was able to duplicate up to 80 instruments, and they sounded exactly like the instruments, not like a synthesizer that kind of fakes what a violin or a brass section sounds like. I had actual samples of violins, actual samples of brass sections, timpanis, quartets, just everything that you can imagine. I can do 80 different instruments at the same time. And one of the other things I could do on the Fairlight was it had a piano keyboard, but it also had a light screen, like a computer monitor that had a light pen that you can touch on the screen, and you can bring up staffs of music and then just kind of put in all the notes. So I was working for corporate clients, and one of my clients at the time was United Airlines. This is like 85, I think it was. They wanted to, they were doing a shareholders meeting, and they were showcasing this brand new terminal that they were planning. They had these beautiful artist rendering of what the terminal would look like, and it was very futuristic looking and everything. And, they had changed, they were rebranding. They changed their logo from what it was, back in the 70s to what it became in the 80s and 90s. And so I took all these different images, and I took photos of the planes at O'Hare Airport. I took photos of people getting on and off the plane. And then I programmed Rhapsody in Blue into the Fairlight, note by note, by putting it all in there. I barely played anything. I played the clarinet thing at the beginning because I wanted to use, there was like a spin wheel on it that you can bend tunes, like you could on a guitar or when you do a clarinet. But I called it Wrapped So Deep in Blue. And one of the things that my Fairlight could do is, aside from doing the music of 80 instruments, it could also trigger light effects or trigger a slideshow or make a video come on and stuff like that. It was like a multimedia interface that I had outfitted this particular Fairlight with. So for their shareholder meeting, I had my big computer sitting off stage, just off the stage, big screens, lights, and then a podium for a couple of their speakers. And I did this whole presentation showing them, what the terminal looked like while you're hearing presentation. And I worked really hard for it because I was getting $12,000, to do this gig. And I had a great time. The client was really happy. I got a standing ovation after the presentation, and I didn't expect that. But what I didn't expect even more is that United Airlines would co-opt the idea and start using it in their marketing from the 90s until probably 2015 or something. They used the Rhapsody in Blue theme. They got Gene Hackman to narrate instead of the Ken Nordine voice that I had. It was a very straight. So, it was just an amazing thing that something that inspired me when I was a kid had such a profound impact on me as a young adult artist. After that gig, I got Walgreens, I got Baxter Travenol, I got Marriott Food Service. All kinds of corporations were knocking at my door to work with me. And it was amazing that one little piece of music, those notes, that wonderful melody, that magic that Gershwin was able to capture and then transmit to us through his music was rippling into my life. And that was, it came out in 1924. So 60 years later, it's coming out again. And then it becomes part of this big advertising campaign and everybody gets to hear it again, and I just am blown away by it. So Rhapsody in Blue or Wrapped So Deep in Blue, either way changed my life for the better. And to kind of bring this story full circle, for Thanksgiving this year, I mentioned it was Mom, my mother, and my wife and I, just the three of us. We had a very small, wonderful dinner. Kelly did 98% of all the work because I had surgery. I don't know if you can tell. I'm kind of using a wide shot so you can't really see my nose, but it's actually very swollen, and I've got some stitches here behind my right ear. It's not very comfortable. But and then after the dinner, we retired to the television theater, and I had ordered this movie off Amazon Prime, and we watched it. And I swear, the three of us were so wow at the end of it. We were just like, even though he dies at the end, not giving anything away here, but he dies. And it was just, we were blown away by the movie. This 1945 film that isn't really even on people's radar as far as great films, great American films. It is a great fucking American film. See Rhapsody in Blue if you ever get the chance. Or look it up on Amazon Prime. It was only $3 or $4. So yes, December is here. It's always kind of a great way for me personally that December comes after November, because November is such a painfully difficult month for me. It is, the month that Ken Kesey died, one of my big heroes, literary heroes, and George Harrison died, one of my big musical heroes, spiritual heroes, and my daughter had died in April, but her birthday is in November. November is full of sadness. There's some joys in it. Kelly's birthday and Jaden's birthday in the middle of the month, Thanksgiving, but overall, I have a very sad time of year during November. Tall Tales of a Short Childhood is a book I wrote and published back in November of 2019. The plan was for the book to come out. I would be pushing it online. After the first of the year, I was going to do a little mini tour, West Coast mostly. But we all know what happened in 20 and 21, don't we? It was COVID. It was the pandemic. I was one of the first people to catch COVID. I had it at the end of March, and they didn't even know what it was when I had it, but I was so fucking sick, I thought I was going to die. Needless to say, by the time things settled down from the pandemic and life started to return to something of a normality that we could deal with, the book had lost its steam. I had lost my focus. My health had deteriorated all the way until about the end of 21 when I made a turnaround. So by then, it was old hat. I had other things to deal with. We were talking with, my mom, helping her husband had passed away, and I was going to Arkansas every summer. But my publishing partners have been encouraging me to reissue the book. So we're doing a 5th anniversary edition, and I had hoped that it would come out on my birthday, which is next Saturday, December 7th. But it looks like it's going to be closer to the middle or even after Christmas, which is fine because every day in December is a great day as far as I'm concerned. And there are no plans to really do a lot of sales. We'll do some online advertising, but maybe next year I'll do a little mini tour thing like I had thought about doing originally. December becomes a month for me of planning. I start laying out what my next year or two is going to look like. What kind of things do I need to get done? Do I want to get done? What kind of things may happen during the next year that I have to kind of have a plan B, set aside a bunch of guidelines in case something happens. How do I deal with that? Things like that. So I think a lot about the future at this time of year. My birthday always inspires me. Oh, it's another year over. What are you going to do this year, D. Philip? It's the end of the year. Resolutions. I'm not too much into resolutions because they're so resolute. It's so final. I think of things more like in the new year, I am going to try to practice something more. For example, I want to start learning about Tai Chi. That's one of my goals for next year is start learning about Tai Chi. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my goal is about cashed out here. So perhaps we'll conclude. And let me first just kind of offer this quote from George Gershwin, who said, "Life is a lot like jazz. It's best when you improvise." So this holiday season, remember that. Life is a lot like jazz. It's best when you improvise. Because you can plan anything in the world, but plans often go astray, don't they? Some shit happens and it knocks you off your balance. So you improvise. Have a very happy holiday season, everyone. I'm sure I'll talk to you before the big Christmas day, but every day in December is special. So happy holiday season to you all. And like I say every time I talk to you guys at the end of a video, what do I say? Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. Take care of your community. Take care of your planet. But take care of you. And be safe out there in the big world this time of year. It's crazy. Be safe out there. Be safe inside. Be careful what you're doing. Don't overdo it. Be safe. And keep your dobber up, man. Keep your dobber up. So for me and Deadhead Zed back there, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Tune in again. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.